Thank you, and thank you, Mark. Your words mean a great deal to me. Change. Change is never easy. Change is naturally a state of conflict and seems like an oxymoron at times. You fight like hell to hold on, and you fight like hell to let go. Some people embrace change, and some people get hives just thinking about it. Many individuals will tell you that they welcome change as long as nothing is altered or different. For some, life is not that complicated. Think of a diaper. When life starts to stink, you need to make a change. Some people live by the philosophy that you shouldn't change so that others will like you. If you just be yourself, others will love the real you. Unless you're a real jerk, then you should change. Seriously, think about how easy it is for some people to switch from middle school to high school, or from grade 3 to kindergarten, and how some of us are forced into it, screaming, kicking, and biting all the way. One reason that people resist change is because they focus on what they have to give up instead of what they have to gain. But change is the nature of our world. Charles Darwin said, "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change." Everything changes, from our thoughts and feelings to our circumstances and relationships. They all change. Life is about trusting your feelings, taking chances, finding happiness, learning from the past, and truly realizing that everything changes. We see it in our classrooms every day as our students change, grow, develop, and then move on to the next grade. We help make that change possible for our students by transforming young minds, turning illiteracy into literacy, confusion into understanding, intolerance into acceptance, and doubt into certainty. Well, a new year always brings change. And there is no question that 2017 brought more changes and challenges than ever before. We now exist in a new normal, and we can't be on the sidelines of history. We do not want to stand next to normal. We must be the leaders and the agents of change, the change we want to see in the world. We have two options. We can step forward into growth, or we can step back into safety. Realistically for us, there is no safety in stepping back. We can no longer simply go into our classrooms and shut the door, do our thing, and expect to be left alone. It is okay to close some doors, not because of pride, incapacity, or arrogance, but simply because those doors no longer lead anywhere. George Carlin jokingly remarked, "I put $1 into a change machine, nothing changed." Well, if we do not go after what we want, we will never have it. If we do not ask, the answer will always be no. If we do not step forward, we will always be in the same place, and we can no longer proceed until apprehended. As educators, we are not immune to the social and economic pressures that are making life unpredictable and frightening for so many of us and for our students. Social justice issues have been at the forefront of the news in our lives for the past few months. We see these issues in our classrooms every single day, but how we handle this in our new normal is what defines who we are. We always refer to teaching as the most noble of professions. I've said it countless times to you, to our new teachers, to our student members, and so often at retirement dinners. But teaching, at its core, is a moral profession. As teachers, we must combine the mantle of moral purpose with the skills of being change agents. Moral purpose and change agentry at first glance appear to be strange companions. On closer examination, they are natural allies. We always say that teachers make a difference in the lives of each and every one of our students. Moral purpose or making a difference concerns bringing about improvements. It is, in other words, a change theme. In addition to the need to make moral purpose more explicit, educators need the tools to productively engage in change. Moral purpose keeps teachers close to the needs of children and youth. Change agentry causes them to develop better strategies for accomplishing their moral goals. We work together every single day to provide every single Connecticut public school student with the outstanding education he or she deserves. We support the dreams and the aspirations of future artists, engineers, scientists, writers, teachers, athletes, musicians, and citizens, our future. But we must also invest time and energy into participating in debates, conversations, and issues of our time that set us and our students on a course for happy, productive lives. Together, our strength as a union has always been our collective approach to problems. Through conversation, teachable moments, and a spirit of collaboration, we know we can face any change or challenge directly. And we know that there is no test available that can possibly measure the instilling of moral values and the sense of social justice that molds the individual character of each one of our students in our classes. I am proud to stand with you as we face a myriad of challenges. We are working together to not only create great public schools for our students, but also a society that respects and welcomes the contributions of every member. That is the strength of our union, and that should be the strength of our country. Regardless of what is happening in the country at large, in our classrooms across the state, we embrace diversity, we embrace respect, and we embrace kindness. So many of you, including North Haven teacher Katie Nagy, promoted that message in your classrooms after the election. She posted a sign for her students urging them to do the right things and to make our country a better place. We all need to feel supported, appreciated, and engaged. We will continue to promote a culture that supports civility and inclusiveness. It is essential that educators advocate for ourselves and for our students, because if we don't, who will? With any election and transfer of power, our lives and our country change. But this year, we are feeling the changes more directly. How we handle these changes is up to us. We can retreat and accept everything thrown our way, or we can stand up together and fight for what we believe in and what we know is right. At this point in time, it makes no difference who you voted for. Donald Trump is the president. Trump was not a conventional candidate, and there has not been one clear indication that he is going to run a conventional administration. His actions have been unpredictable and concerning to so many of us. His opinions and statements about national and international issues change seemingly on a daily basis. His administration has even invented a new normal for the word lie. A lie now is simply an alternative fact. Okay, alternative facts. Your students can use them. Instead of being absent from school, they're just present somewhere else. There's no wrong answer on a test. It's just an alternative fact. It wasn't raining on Trump's inauguration day. That was alternative sunshine. Trump pays alternative taxes. If pizza is salad, then cupcakes must be apples, right? And I love alternative facts. It opens a whole new world for me when I walk into a doctor's office and he asks me how much I weigh. I think the only alternative fact that I could actually accept is that if this question were for once and for all finally decided was which came first, the chicken or the egg, I wouldn't have a problem accepting that alternate fact. According to a survey, more than 90% of teachers reported a negative impact on their school climate as a result of the election. In fact, many of you told us that your students were traumatized, feeling bullied, fearful, and anxious about the future. For us, it is not enough just to take a stand on bullying. We must redouble our efforts to create positive school climates. We must reassure students and parents that our classrooms are safe, welcoming places that are free of fear. As teachers, we must promote a model of decency and dignity. Our great nation was built upon principles of democracy and freedom, and our universal right to speak our mind and protest. The press, educators, unions, and millions of others are equally determined to fight at every misstep, at every social injustice, at every false claim about climate change, at every effort to further deteriorate and erode our core beliefs. This must be our new normal. It is so easy to allow ourselves to fall victim to despair, to be fearful, to be angry, or worst of all, to be numb, to do and feel nothing. But then, just at the right time, 2 little boys from Kentucky gave us faith to believe again and to look at the positive in every situation. These 2 innocent boys stole our hearts and rekindled our belief in human kindness and compassion. They remind us of why we do what we do every single day. You may be familiar with the boy's story. Jax, who is white, wanted to get his hair cut like his best friend Reddy, who is black. The reason? They believed that with the same haircut, they would be identical and their teacher wouldn't be able to tell them apart. And their teacher did what all of us would have done. She played along. With a single act, these 2 boys taught us about racial harmony. This story gives us all optimism. This story makes us feel good. This story makes us cry with tears of hope and compassion. Stories like this reinforce the goodness in this world and give us encouragement to move forward, to be ready to do what we do best, to advocate for what is right, to be noble, to insinuate morality, and to stimulate it at its best. One of the greatest things about CEA, our union, our profession, and all of us is the opportunity we have to use our combined power, our stronger together, to create positive change. We must all advocate and strengthen our resolve in our union. All of us must have the opportunity to meaningfully participate in our country and to have our voices heard. Educators have always spoken up and spoken out in force when our principals compelled us to, and that's P-L-E-S, not P-A-L-S, and we always will. We have made our name on having the courage to stand up and speak out for what is right. We know that in Connecticut there are only 2 seasons, winter and traffic. Lily Tomlin said, "The road to success is always under construction." Well, we will have roadblocks and we will have dry pavements. We will have successes and we will have setbacks. But we must never stop believing that fighting for what is right is worth it. We are our students' champions. We are our students' heroes and heroines, and we must never forget that. We can do nothing and sit back on the sidelines watching everything happen, or we can get involved and be part of history. Mahatma Gandhi said, "You must be the change you wish to see in the world." There is no question about it. These are challenging times. It would be easy to give in to the fear and anger or to go to the opposite extreme and ignore everything around us. But like you, I choose to use my energy to be positive. I choose to use my energy to be good. I choose to use my energy to fight for change. We are at a crossroads. And where we go from here depends on all of us doing what's right. All of us and our profession are under attack. Make no mistake about it. That is not an alternative fact. Veteran teachers were insulted by the president's remarks that they have done nothing to help our children's future. There are policymakers who want to strip our schools of necessary funding and who have attacked our pensions. The new administration believes that bringing change and better schools will happen with a group of billionaire advisors. And that brings me to the most difficult challenge facing our nation's public education system. A woman who did not attend public schools, who did not send her children to public schools, who wants to destroy public schools, who called public education a dead end, and who now represents public education in America. I mean, really? Betsy DeVos is one of the most divisive and destructive forces facing public education today. There is no doubt about it. For the first time since the position was created, the country has an education secretary whose approach to public education is to get rid of it. Rather than viewing public education as a foundation of democracy, DeVos treats it like a monopoly that should be scrapped for a competitive, market-based system of education that includes taxpayer-funded private and parochial school vouchers and charter schools. She herself is a charter member of the Billionaires Club that is now running our great country and wanting to treat our children like widgets and our schools like companies. So listen to us, Betsy. And listen to us carefully. Our students are not widgets, and our schools are not factories. Our children are our most precious asset. Our children are unique individuals with specific learning needs. Taking a classroom of students with different abilities, interests and backgrounds and teaching them a love of learning, inquiry, and creativity is an art, one we have trained hard for and one at which we excel. We are fortunate here in Connecticut that we have two U.S. Senators, Chris Murphy and Richard Blumenthal, who support teachers in public education and who are willing to stand up for us and fight alongside us. Both men reached out to their colleagues. They held news conferences in Connecticut and in Washington, D.C. with our members, including North Haven's Tom Murack, Bridgeport's Rob Traber and Gary Pellichetti, Westport's John Horrigan, and so many others. They joined us at the Women's March and supported us. They discussed the issues with us and took pictures at the march with our teachers, including Stratford's own Samantha Rosenberg and her daughter. They did all they could to promote our message against DeVos, and they voted against her. We fought hard. Our legislators said they have never, ever received so many calls and emails and texts, not only from teachers, but from the general public. And we're certainly disappointed with the outcome. We succeeded in raising the level of public opposition to Betsy DeVos and her anti-public education schemes. And for the first time in history, the United States Vice President had to step in to cast the deciding vote on a nomination. Of course we feel betrayed. Of course we feel bitter. But we can also feel proud. Proud of the fact that we all came together to tell the world about this injustice, that we joined forces to fight, and that together we are now stronger. And that in and of itself is a victory, and it is only the beginning, because as Mark said last night, we are not going away. But the hardest part, what the hardest part is and will continue to be, is us. Changing us. All of us. All of us who have the potential to be stronger together. For so many of us, those words exist simply as a mantra. And for so many of us, the expectation is that someone else among our ranks will save us. Someone else among our ranks will do the work. Someone else among our ranks will change the attitude and the minds and the decisions being made in Hartford and in Washington, D.C. And someone else will have to listen to my warning because I'm too busy teaching. I am too busy in a second job in order to make ends meet. I am too busy coaching after school. I am too busy to make that phone call, write that email, send that text. Just leave me alone and let me teach. I know. I get it. I have had skin in this game for almost 5 decades, and I have been part of the let someone else do it team, as well as the I can make the change team. But there is going to have to be more skin in the game, ladies and gentlemen. So I stand here and I ask you one more time. Is making a difference in your future and the futures of your students worth standing up for and speaking out against? Is it worth stepping us outside your comfort zone and advocating for your students? Is it worth standing up to the new normal? Is it worth standing up to change? I believe that it is. I really do. Public education is in the crosshairs. If we sit back and hope for the best, we don't know what we will get, but you can bet it's not going to be good. If we engage, we can make a difference, and we can set an example for our students. So please, attend rallies, March 18th, attend marches, attend protests, speak out against injustice, speak out against attacks on the press and on the unions, aggressively continue to fight for the principles and values we hold so dear for our students, for our profession, and for public education. Be part of the organizing and the mobilizing thrust of CEA. This is our new normal, and we must embrace it. The U.S. Supreme Court makeup poses new challenges for teachers, unions, and social justice issues. We know that. Teachers and union employees' collective bargaining rights are under attack. The same group behind the Friedrichs Challenge is up to it again, and now it's Friedrichs 2.0. This is just the latest in a long list of cases expected to be heard in the U.S. Supreme Court as early as next year. These cases could outlaw fair share and deliver a blow to our ability to engage and to negotiate good working conditions and learning conditions for our students. And if that happens, we will become the next Wisconsin. One of our UNISERV reps, Justin Zartman, traveled to Wisconsin recently to help with organizing efforts and signing teachers up for the union. He came back with this document that's up on the screen. Here in Connecticut, our contracts are 20 to 30 pages long. They cover everything from wages to working conditions. Do you know what this is? It is the teacher's contract in Kenosha, Wisconsin. 1 page, one stinking, lousy, one-sided page. This is what is at stake. This 1-page contract only covers a wage increase of 0.12%. Yeah, that's right, you heard me correctly. 0.12%. We cannot allow Connecticut to become the next Wisconsin. This 1-page contract should be a wake-up call for every single teacher in Connecticut and across the country. If your members are not involved, or if they think you're just spouting because you want their dues dollars, show them this 1-page contract. Ask them if they value their health benefits. Ask them if they value due process. Ask them if they value all the things that this union has fought for generations. Or do they want a 1-page document? Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot afford to wait until we lose everything. This is our new normal, and we must start now. We all have a role to play on the local, state, and national levels. If the election taught us one thing, it is that what happens at the polls affects our work in so many different ways. No one is better qualified to do so than us. So what does it mean? It means we need to keep the positive momentum going. We need to keep our concerns at the forefront. We need to keep contacting our legislators, keep building relationships, keep being persistent, determined, demanding, and adamant about protecting our rights and our dignity. 5 years ago, the people sitting before you here were left a little present in our laps. That little present was that 22.5% of our summative evaluations would be based on a single SBAC score. That little present was left in our laps 5 years ago, and it has taken 5 tough, challenging, frustrating, and demanding years of unrelenting pressure, unrelenting coalition building, unrelenting collaboration, unrelenting dialogue, and unrelenting political acumen in order to convince the Peak Committee and ultimately the State Board of Education that our arguments were valid and reliable, and that the results of the SBAC were anything but valid and reliable. That is what standing stronger together can accomplish, because now that 22.5% is zero. And now we must fight schemes that would cut education funding. We must challenge politicians who would harm our pensions. And we must expose the duplicity and greed of those who would destroy our public education system. We stand and we work together in strength and conviction, and we will never regret fighting for what we believe in. CEA is always here, standing strong with you. But this is your union, and we need each and every one of you to get involved. There is a lot of work to do, and there is a place for each and every one of you. You cannot assume that your colleagues are going to do it for you. At some point, you have to say, I need to stand up. I need to be a part of this movement. I need to do it. I need to make a difference. We all need to be involved in politics. People tell me all the time, Sheila, I just want to teach. I'm not a political person. And I used to say to them, I understand. I don't anymore. I've lost too much skin in this game. I have to say now, wrong. You are a teacher. You are never just a teacher. You are a teacher. Everything you do is determined by politics. Every decision about your classroom, from what you teach to how you are evaluated, is political. Everything from your salary to your pension is political. You may think you are not political, but you are. You have to be if you want to support your students and your profession. It's refreshing to see the large number of teachers who have signed up to be part of the TAG team, Teacher Advocate Grassroots, putting yourselves on the front lines and calling and emailing or meeting with legislators when a particular issue arises. There are more than 200 newly signed up people, and I hope that all of you will sign up to be part of this TAG team. In this, our new normal, we must intensify our efforts and support the organizations that stand up for our values. As dues-paying members, you help CEA remain one of the most powerful voices in the state, fighting with you and for our professional and economic interests. It has never been so important to support your union and to work in solidarity. It has never been so important to continue to buy union-made products and to shop in union companies and stores and take the steps that make Connecticut a better place for children and families, steps that strengthen, not weaken, the middle class. I am proud to be your colleague in building and preserving our great system of public education. And I thank you for all you do each and every day to help our students achieve their full potential and to bring dignity to our profession. And I would like to add one final quote, a quote from the late Ted Kennedy. "The work goes on, the cause endures, the hope still lives, and the dream shall never die." Ladies and gentlemen, you heard me say this last year. You heard me say this the year before. You're going to hear me this year, and you're going to hear me next year. As I say once again, you are the wind. CEA is the ship. Without you, the sails of our ship cannot be filled in order to cut through the tides of corporate reform. CEA is the lighthouse, and without you, we cannot shine the light of truth on public education. CEA is the eagle, and you are the wind beneath our wings. Without you, we cannot fly. Without you, we cannot soar. Without you, we cannot rise and stand up to the corporate and political bullies, the bullies who say they are for each child, but they don't want each child in their schools. They create country club schools. They choose which students get membership. They resegregate neighborhoods. They institutionalize racism. They sustain poverty. Shame on them. They are the bullies who care more about money than they care about the spirit of youth, the inspiration of creativity, the dream weaving of hope, the necessity of innovation, and the quality of the character of the future generation of America. You must be the wind. You must be the saving grace of public education. You must be the social justice heart of this nation, and you must never forget upon whose shoulders we all stand. We must be stronger together. Ladies and gentlemen, we are strong. We are committed. We are dedicated. We are passionate. We are professional. We are the union. We are CEA. We are the teachers, and we are stronger together. Thank you.